Hi, my name is Terence Tay, and I'm part of the Alien team that brought you iCandy 6. If you've run any iCandy filter, you've probably already seen the scaling mode option at the top of every basic tab. If the scaling mode option is an adaptive, you notice that the units of some sliders like this brick height slider shows a percentage sign. If you switch to fixed mode, the units become pixels. If you toggle between the two modes, the slider values change, but the filter effects in the preview window does not seem to change. And you're probably wondering, what is the scaling mode option? The scaling mode option lets you tell iCandy what you want the filter to do when the size of the image changes. If you put a filter in the adaptive mode, the filter effects, like the size of the bricks in this example, change with the size of the image. A small image has small bricks, and a large image has large bricks. This happens automatically without you needing to change the brick height control. If you run the brick wall filter in the fixed mode, the brick height always stays the same, no matter what the size of the image is. At first glance, this may not seem very important, but it is, because the scaling mode option has significant impact on your workflow. I'll show you why. Let's begin with the most common case when you're just starting out with a graphic design project and you're looking for an interesting texture to use. So you start an iCandy filter like the stone wall texture filter, go over to the settings tab and select a few factory settings to see what you can get out of this filter. No matter what image size you're working with, whether it is a screen resolution web page or a full bleed magazine ad at 300 dpi, those factory presets will look pretty good on it. As you watch me go through these settings, you'll notice that all of the settings that I'm browsing through produce stones that aren't too big and aren't too small. They're just right. And that's because the adaptive mode is automatically scaling the filter effects to fit your image. And that makes the factory presets much more useful across many different situations. Whether you're a beginner to iCandy or you're an experienced user, these presets provide a good starting point for your graphic design project. And the adaptive mode makes it easy for you to get good results with any image size. By contrast, here are some fixed mode settings that I made. Notice the F icon on the fixed mode settings. These were made at screen resolution, so they turn out to be too small for this high resolution page that we have here. I could create high resolution versions of these settings, but then they wouldn't look good on screen resolution images. And there's too much thinking involved of high resolution and screen resolution or what resolution you're working at. My advice, stick with the adaptive mode when working with presets. And this advice applies to user presets that you create too. Let's say you fine-tune this filter effect to something that you like. And when you find something that you do like, you save it as a user preset called Nice Stones. You can now apply this user presets to any project at any resolution. This makes user presets much more useful as you move from project to project. Adaptive mode takes care of automatically scaling the filter effects to suit your new image size. Yes, it is. It's like iCandy is reading your mind and giving you what you need. Well, iCandy doesn't really read your mind. There are some cases where the adaptive mode is not what you want. Obviously, these are the cases where you want the filter effects to stay exactly the same regardless of the image size. These cases typically happen when you or perhaps your coworkers are working on individual pieces of a project that's meant to be composited onto a master document. What you're looking at here is iCandy's magazine ad. Each piece was done in a separate smaller document, like this number 6. We added extrude and a shadow filter to this number in adaptive mode because it was easier to browse the adaptive mode presets to find an effect that looks good. And these effects were stored in a smart layer. Then, in keeping with the non-destructive workflow throughout the design of this magazine ad, we wanted to copy the smart layer into the master document. Here's what happens when we copy a smart layer from a smaller document to a large one in adaptive mode. The extrude and shadow filter effect adapted to the new image size, which is not what we want here. So let's go back to the original document and change the smart filters to fixed mode. iCandy automatically recalculates the controls so that the filter effect does not change. Now we copy the smart layer like what we did before, and that looks much better. Let's summarize what I just said in this tutorial with a recommendation for your workflow. When you're starting out with a new project, use the factory and user presets as a starting point to get the filter effects that you need quickly. the adaptive mode will help you here by scaling the filter effect to any image size that you're working with. For many graphic design situations, that's all you need. If you do encounter a situation where you need to maintain a filter effect when the image size changes, change the filter to fixed mode and continue working. And as we saw earlier, iCandy will do the appropriate calculations so that your filter effect does not change when you switch modes. That's the end of this tutorial. Please check out our other tutorials at alienskin.com.